Hi guys, this is Frankie from Frankie Tech, and I'm back here with another quick video. I did a video on Friday, I want to say, of last week, and it was my first look at this phone right here. This is the Xiaomi Redmi 6 Pro. This phone came out of the blue, guys. It was something that I'd researched and then discovered, oh, this was also launched with the Mi Pad 4. And then I just happened to be in the area of my third-party retailer, and I said, let me see if they have it. And they did, and it's been an amazing 48 plus, maybe close to 3 days now with this phone, and just wanted to give my impressions of using this phone for the last couple days, and kind of just give my thoughts on the the experience thus far. This is the Redmi 6 Pro, so it's definitely on the budget side of the Xiaomi phones that have come out recently. But overall, I think there's a lot here under the hood, and just in terms of UI and experience that I want to share with you guys. So let's kind of go down a quick list here that I typically do of the phones and kind of major aspects of a phone, and to see how it does. So let's first look at design, and then we'll go into display, performance, into camera at the end, and we'll also jump into audio and audio capabilities. So first off, let's go to design. Now, one of the first things I realized with this phone was that it was definitely not to the level of design, at least in terms of sleekness and design, as the previous phones I've been reviewing, the Mi 8, the Mi 8 SE. This phone is definitely, you can tell it's a budget phone, and I think the thing I likened it to in my earlier video is that it is almost a marriage between the kind of Redmi Note 5 design, which you can see here on the back. If I told you, by the way, what phone is that right there, you would you'd be hard pressed to figure out which phone it was. If you've looked at the Redmi Note 5, it looks pretty much identical from the back. The only thing really being the actual size of the phone. So this is actually running a 5.8, I want to say 5.8 inch screen, and I think overall, like, the design is a marriage between those, because the back is very much in that kind of design aesthetic of the Redmi phones, but in the front, that's the thing that kind of stands out. There's this really interesting screen, and it's an LCD. I've definitely kind of checked that out, but it's a screen that looks a lot more future thinking and kind of just future forward than any of the kind of budget Xiaomi phones that we've seen before. I mean, you look at this bottom chin here, it looks pretty much like your standard Mi 5S Plus and Redmi Note 5 kind of chins that have been on those phones. But when you look at the top here, this is where you see something interesting going on. You see the notch, and the notch is here on the budget of Xiaomi phones. It's not exactly everyone's cup of tea. I know that. I know some people can't stand the notch and hate it. I personally don't mind having the extra screen real estate if I have a notch included. And the nice thing about it, if you see here, you can always go into your display settings, I want to say. No, that's not right. You want to go into your full screen display, and here's the setting right here, hide the screen notch. So you can go ahead and press that, and there you go. Now you have a phone that, and a bezel that's pretty much akin to any of the Redmi Note 5 and the Note 5 Pro and any of the 5S Plus and 5S phones that have come out. So that's not an issue for me. I actually like having more screen real estate, and that's the reason why I got this phone, because I said, look, this is a very budget phone. This costs, obviously I got the 4GB 64 gigabyte version. Let me run into the specs here so you guys can have a look. So this is running this is the 4GB RAM version. There is a 3GB 32 gigabytes, but I honestly think, guys, in this day and age, 4GB is kind of the minimum you'd want to have on a phone. And you see here, and let's kind of segue down from design, which I think is, it's probably not to the level of the other ones, but I think is decent enough for the price. Now let's go straight into performance. This is going to be kind of where this phone really shows its budgetness. And there it is, you can see it, the Snapdragon 625 on this phone. That's an old chip, guys. It's definitely an older chip, and that is the reason why I chose the 64 GB option as you can see right there, with the 4 GB of RAM, because I really don't want to think about an experience of using 3 GB again. I think 4 GB is the minimum for any phone you want to get in this day and age. And look, Snapdragon 625, is it an old chip? Yeah. I mean, is it starting to show its age? Definitely. But is it still a pretty capable chip that can do the job and kind of do everything that you kind of need it to do? I would say the answer is yes. And here you can clearly see, the phone showing its age. That definitely took a bit longer than I would have liked to actually load. But just in terms of the actual experience, at least in the MIUI launcher, it's definitely something that still is pretty snappy, I'd say. It's not going to be beating or even competing with the 636, the 660, definitely not with the 710, but that's the point here. This is not about it competing with some sort of a higher flagship price range and a higher flagship phone. It's about getting what's worked with the Xiaomi Mi 8 and the Mi 8 SE down to a cheaper, more budget form factor, and I like it. I honestly like it. It's been a joy to use, at least from the performance side. And I'm obviously going to do a deeper comparison to these. Well, when I do a comparison video of this phone with the Mi 8 and the Mi 8 SE, stay tuned for that. It'll be coming up in a little bit. Now let's talk about, let's go into audio real quick. And I think the main thing to consider here is that this phone, let's see if we have it there. There it is. This phone does have a headphone jack, and for all you people who are rocking the headphone jack, who still want to use wired connections for audio, that is a major deal there. That is something that the Mi 8 and the Mi 8 SE just do not have, and is something that may make or break your decision making on this phone. Like, I for myself do not use wired headphones anymore. I use Bluetooth for almost all of my phones, all my audio, so that's not something I'll be using. But I think for any of you guys who are into that, that's definitely going to be something that you'll want to consider. And now let's look into the speaker quality. Now, I haven't been able to test the headset quality. I think it's pretty good. I've been obviously using through Bluetooth. I think the experience should be pretty decent. But let's go into the actual speaker quality, which is something I'm a lot more interested about. And I'm going to just play a little bit of music here, just to give you guys an idea of what this sounds like. So now I'm running it at 75%. Let's see how this phone does. Pretty decent sound. Let's crank it up a little bit. Forward the phone a little bit. Go to another song real quick. There you go, that's a good beat. Now look, are you guys going to be getting good quality out of this? Probably not. Is it something that's going to be tinny on the high end? Probably. Is it a speaker that you could rock out to? I think the answer is definitely yes. You can see it there though. Like all the Xiaomi phones, it's just one bottom firing speaker, which you can really just make silent. You have to be careful with when you're holding it the right way. Yeah, I could listen to this quite a while, guys. But there you go. You see, I mean, honestly, the sound quality on this speaker is I think is pretty decent. It's not going to be something that I think is going to be any better than the Mi 8, Mi 8 SE, better than the Note 5 Pro, better than the 5S Plus or the 5S. It's not going to be better than any of those phones. But does it kind of match, or at least give me the initial impressions of a decent speaker? I would say so. I think it does a pretty decent job. And now just, lastly, we go into the kind of camera quality here. Look, guys, I, in all honesty, haven't tested the camera completely yet, but I will say that just kind of looking through the experience of the photos I've taken thus far, I'm going to take a quick, just zoom in here on a couple quick shots. You might have seen this on my Frankie Street Tech video of this phone on Friday when it came out. And let's go to some other interesting shots here, though. This was done on a very sunny day in, let me kind of rotate there. This was done on a very sunny day here in Hong Kong. And you can see it there. I mean, the quality, the level of quality here is pretty solid. I mean, it's, definitely not going to be something that is going to compete once again with the Mi 8, and I will be doing a camera comparison. I've been promising that for you guys, but now that I have this phone, I really want to see how, those two, I don't think there'll be as much differences between the Mi 8 and the Mi 8 SE, but I want to see how does this budget option from Xiaomi compare to those, and how does it hold up really compared to those. You can see it there. Here's another kind of shot, kind of more of a macro shot. Not the best in terms of quality, but you know what? Still holding its own. Still holding its own. There's some shots of the skyline of Hong Kong. And, in nice sunny conditions, I think it's pretty good. The specs of the camera, if I remember clearly, are you have your 12 megapixel and 5 megapixel camera setup. There it is. So you have the rear camera with a 12 megapixel and 5 megapixel dual camera setup. And I tell you guys, at the budget range, other than the Note 5 Pro, this is the first phone at such a low range to have a dual camera setup. I mean, this phone at the 3 gigabyte option is going for just over 1,300 Hong Kong dollars. I mean, I got the slightly more advanced one there, the slightly larger kind of spec sheet. But in terms of the actual performance, this phone is is actually doing really well for the price, and is dual camera setup there. Now, a few quick questions about the camera, and we can kind of jump in there real quick. Is there portrait mode? There is portrait mode. So, because of the nature of the dual camera, that is something that it will be able to do. And, in terms of video, we can go right here in settings. And now you're not going to get, that's the one thing with the Snapdragon 625, you won't get that 4K video on this phone. So that is one thing that if that is, something that you're wanting for, wanting to get at this price range, good luck finding it. You definitely are going to be more suited with the Mi 8 SE or the Mi 8. This is going to be full HD maxing out. But honestly, it's not something that I think is a big deal if you're in this price range and you're looking at this phone as an option. So anyways, guys, this is just a quick overview here of my 48 hours with the Redmi 6 Pro. It's been a really interesting experience. I really kind of enjoy testing these budget phones, almost even more than Xiaomi's kind of more high-end phones, because I always want to see what is Xiaomi being able to do in terms of the low end, and being able to bring components, bring experiences, and bring kind of more modern design down to kind of the lower budget range. And this is kind of higher, kind of mid-range budget. I know there are phones that are even lower than that for Xiaomi, but I think in terms of just experience, a 5.8-inch screen, which, and let me just do kind of one last thing here. I want to bring in these bad boys kind of as a preview of my next video. I'm not going to do any comparisons right now. That is not something I'm going to do, but I just want you guys to see these three next to each other. Here you have the Mi 8, the Mi 8 SE, and there's the Redmi 6 Pro right in between them. Now, if I just kind of brought someone who doesn't know about smartphones, doesn't know, maybe, cousin of mine or some other friend who's not into it, and asked them, which phone of these is the most expensive one? Okay, maybe they would be able to figure it out, that it's the Mi 8. But you know what? I think they'd be hard-pressed to figure out which is the second most expensive, or maybe even which is the cheapest of the options there. Now, I think turning it around, once you see the actual kind of design of these, it definitely becomes something else. But I think overall, the Redmi 6 Pro has done a great job for its price range. And that is why I'm so impressed to see how it stacks up against those other two phones in my next video. So stay tuned for that next video, guys. Definitely subscribe to my channel. I'm really appreciating all of you guys who've subscribed thus far. I really appreciate it because it's kind of a long road here, and I hope to keep making this channel bigger and better and kind of more exciting every time. And I really appreciate the support. And definitely, share this channel if you want, if anyone with friends with questions about Xiaomi phones or other phones that I'll be doing in the future, definitely kind of share my channel. I really do appreciate it. Definitely hit that like button if you like this video. Any comments, any questions, feel free to just let me know. And I guess this is where I say, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Y'all have a good day.